Season of peace. Angela told one of my stories, the pencil story. Arun Gandhi, here he is. This is the man who's written the legacy of love, and isn't he just beaming to us? I don't remember where we were on our trips together, but someone took this picture. Paul and I had the honor of traveling with him in India, the honor and the spiritual growth of traveling with him in India, and traveled with him many times in the States and had opportunities to really share and know him well. I wanted to tell you about the Gandhi prayers and why we're doing them. So Gandhi prayers were also said at the ashram in the morning and the evening. They represent many different faiths. Last week I told about how Mahatma Gandhi's family for generations had been open to many spiritual truths and would invite speakers from many different faiths to come in and have a friendly dialogue. They often went to temples and churches from different faiths, so they were very open to spiritual ideas from many different perspectives. So every night then, and every morning, 5 a.m. and sunset, Mahatma Gandhi, at whatever ashram he was living at, drew the people together and they would say these Gandhi prayers. Now Arun has did gather those and started printing them and sharing them when he would go out to speak. I don't know how many of you know that Season of Peace is worldwide right now. I just didn't pick this day or this time frame. It actually starts, and there are schools and organizations and churches all over the world that are celebrating what they call Season of Nonviolence, Season of Peace, be the change you want to see in the world. We all use different titles, but we are all working on the experiences that Gandhi shared with us and how to live a life of nonviolence. I had the opportunity after traveling to India. I went and sat on the bus. We were on the bus a lot in India, and I went maybe a couple days before we were coming home, and I said to Arun, I'm going to bring you to Unity Village. And he just looked at me. I said, I'm going to bring you to Unity Village. He said, not too excited. I said, we have something called World Day of Prayer. I'm going to bring you to World Day of Prayer. Okay, just tell me. So I started, as soon as I got home, making phone calls. Well, there was a little resistance here. There was a yay here, da-da-da. We ended up at World Day of Prayer at Unity Village in 2010. We met with the students. We went to the silent Unity prayer room. We had a gathering with people from at least almost 1,000 people there that night. And we said the Gandhi prayers. So I just want you to know that you are connected. This isn't just something isolated. We are connected to a network worldwide of spiritual seekers wanting to have new perspectives and new ways of working in the world. Would you agree? Oh, good. I'm in the right place. So are we really willing to do the work is the question. Are we really willing to make changes mentally, psychologically, and spiritually to affirm and to live a life of peace? So I have some stories for you today, and they stretch us. They really stretch us. And they are opportunities to look at something in a new way. I'm going to take a... Now, we're in our second week, actually. The first week was our introduction. The second week, last week was about love. Gandhi had 5 spiritual principles that he taught. First one was love, respect, understanding, acceptance, and appreciation. Now, each one of us, take a deep breath. I call it big work. We're in respect territory today. Now, in my life, in my home, respect was the number one rule. We respected everyone, whether we liked them or not. Now, there was a 5th grade teacher I didn't like so much. And I would come home and whine to my mother. It was my first male teacher. I did not like him. Anyone ever have a teacher you didn't like? Male or female? And if there is someone not raising your hand, I don't believe you. I'm just saying. And I grew up to be a teacher, so I'm being very kind. Well, Mr. Knox, I just whine and whine and whine about Mr. Knox. Well, my mother kept saying, he's your teacher, you have to respect him. One day, my mother invited him to dinner. Embarrassed? Well, I was supposed to ask him to remind him that day. Do you think I said anything? Do you think he showed up? Do you think I got in trouble? My mother said, respect. We have to respect. So as we learn from childhood into adulthood, what does respect mean? How do we respect others? Gandhi called it respecting that we are interbeings, integrated, and that we are here to work together. We are interconnected. We can't be divided. It's like the trees that grow, the roots? The roots grow together under the ground. We can't see it. That's true here too. We are all connected with each other. People all over the world, and we aren't even conscious of it. Yes? You would agree. So how do we wake up? How do we wake up and find the connection with each other? So this is a story that Arun loved to tell. And I shared last week that Arun and his family were living in South Africa, and that they had a small ashram. The part I was reading in Legacy of Love today was that they almost lived in what was like a shack. It was metal and it was falling apart. And finally one day they got concrete blocks and the house was a little better. But his dad, who their ashram was just a little ways from the families that were had hardly anything. And so they didn't want to show off and have a big house. That was called respect. Now Arun, who was Indian, attending the village school, was being bullied, and he was being beaten up. And for the black kids, he wasn't black enough, and for the white kids, he wasn't white enough. And he just came home, and he's like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So he decides on his own that he is going to make some weights. So I don't know what he put together, but he started lifting weights. Now his mother was out on the ashram and peeked into this building and saw it. And Arun was this tiny, skinny little boy lifting. What are you doing? Oh, I'm just lifting weights. Finally, the story came out that he was being bullied, and he was going to fight back. And last Sunday, I told you what happened. Mama and Daddy said, you're going to grandfather's. So he ended up at Mahatma Gandhi's ashram in India, and he was excited. He knew enough about his grandfather to honor him. And when he went in to greet grandfather, he just hugged him and kissed him. I'm so glad you're here. So one day, as Arun was going to bed, Mahatma Gandhi came into his room, which was very unusual that he would visit him at night. And he said, I want to teach you something. I want to teach you about how to handle your anger. And he said, I want you to make an anger wall over there. I want you to write down on that wall every time you feel angry, you feel upset, you feel not listened to, you feel not supported, You want to strike back. Arun went, oh, draw on the wall. It's called an anger wall. And he said, on this wall over here, I want you to write down every time you are helpful or loving. Well, as the days went by, the anger wall started filling up and filling up. And there was only one or two things on the helpful wall. And he realized that he had so much anger, resentment, fear. Anyone is willing, like I am, to say, I might have a few things to write on that anger wall. And how much am I going to write on being helpful and loving? 3 or 4. Now, we're looking at life through a story, and we evaluate. Everyone's different in this room, and you would know what's true for you. Arun would tell this story. Everyone would chuckle a little. You didn't chuckle. Everyone would chuckle, and then he would say, I would like to invite you to create an anger journal. And I would like to invite you to write in that journal when you feel resentment, when you feel that you weren't heard, when you feel disappointment. And at the other half of the journal to write, when you were helpful, thank you, when you were, okay. So just think in our life, this isn't easy, is it? This isn't easy because our days are filled with feelings, and we have strong feelings. We have strong feelings, and we have strong resentments, and we have strong thoughts. And we don't realize how that affects us mentally and physically. Anger is not good for your body. It creates disease. What do we do in order to realize, because we are living so much in the unaware. Do I even realize when I get upset with that commercial on the TV? Anyone ever get upset with a commercial on TV? There's 2 of us? Yeah, okay. Or what someone says, or the article I'm reading. Now, remember, we're coming through nonviolence and neutrality. We're not judging. Now, the key to this is I can respect without agreeing. Say that with me. I can respect without agreeing. Let's just feel that. What does that feel like? I can respect you. You're a human being. You're a spiritual being. And I don't necessarily agree with you, but I can respect you. So we have one of the books, Gandhi the Man, over at the Book Nook, and that's one of my favorite books to teach from. And I'm going to share a story from there. This is a meditation retreat where this book comes from, and Aswaran is a Hindu teacher who actually worked with Gandhi. And he taught meditation, and then the people who came after continued to teach meditation at this retreat center. And this is a story that we can apply to ourselves. So this is a young woman who is a surgeon, and she has challenges at work. Anyone ever had a challenge at work? Now, I'm going to do this. I'm going to raise my hand. Yes. So she was having a challenge at work. We think surgeons, they got it. They just walk in and everyone just does whatever they say. Well, it wasn't quite like that where she was working. And she did surgery on people that often were life or death. Now, this particular team that she worked with like every other week was just rude. They played loud music. They made puns at each other. And it was a negative energy atmosphere. And it was frustrating. And she had a hard time concentrating. And she almost thought about quitting doing that kind of surgery. I mean, it really upset her. And she did not want to go into a life or death situation with any upset inside of herself. So she'd been taking this meditation class, and she was learning to meditate every day, 30 minutes. And then they said, in your mind, create the vision of the room you want to walk into next. What room do we want to walk into next? Or what situation? What relationship? What do we want to walk into next? Visualize that. Hold that picture. So she had 2 weeks to her next surgery with that group of people. So every day, morning and night, she would sit, meditate, and then in her mind, create the picture of the room she wanted to walk into. Calm, light music, kind words. The day came, she scrubbed up, opened the door, walked in, calm music, everyone turning, hi, good morning, we have big work to do. It was exactly as she had imagined it. Now, we know the power of visualization. We know the power of connecting with the energy of peace. How often do we use it? We can laugh at ourselves. How often do I use that? When I'm going into a situation where I'm afraid or I'm upset, I have resentment towards this person. Would you be willing to start 5 minutes a day meditating, creating the room you want to walk into next? Maybe it's a room of health. Maybe it's a room of wealth. Maybe it's a room of joy. Maybe it's a room of a new relationship. It's your room. You're creating it. You have to practice it. Yes? There's 6. I'm going to practice. What does that mean when we are willing to change? Be the change you want to see in the world. Am I willing to be the change I want to see in the world? In other words, would I be willing to bring my anger down 10%? Would I be willing to bring my judgment down 30%? I mean, I'm just using numbers. What are you willing to deflate? Are you willing to deflate that negative energy? Anger is made of negative energy. Would you agree? Oh, yeah. So am I willing to deflate like a balloon, take that energy out? Who would I be if I'm not blown up with anger and resentment and fear and judgment? Would I be different? Yes. Would I have different relationships? Yes. Would I see the world differently? Yes. The question is, am I willing? Because we did a whole series on attachment. A lot of us are attached to negative thoughts. I'm just saying. Feeds the ego. It feeds the ego. I'm right and you're wrong. I used a quote from Rumi last week. I think it was last week. Beyond wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. There is a place. We call it oneness. We call it compassion. We can call it many things. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. Because what we call wrong, someone else might call something else. I used to tease about food. And I would say, in my house, peas were wrong and corn was right. And someone else's, we can look at all these little examples in life. And I do that so we have a little humor. Because we can also look at the big things that are just seem atrocious. But the more we put negative energy to it, it gets bigger. The more we reduce our negative energy to it, we take it away. Did you like that word, deflate? We deflate the energy. We deflate the power it has. And then we can be our shining selves. We can be our shining selves. This is a story that Gandhi loved to tell also. Paul reminded it of me last week, and he said, tell that story. Tell that story. This is a story about Gandhi when he's come back to Arun and his father, come back to South Africa. He's a little older, probably 16, and he's driving. That is a big honor for his dad to let him drive the car. So his dad says to him one morning, I have a meeting today in town, and I'm going to take the car, and you can drive. I have to have the car serviced, and we'll drop it off and have it serviced, and then you'll take me to my meeting, and then your mom has a list of supplies that she wants you to get. I'll take the supplies to the place where the car is, and I'll meet you there at 5, and you can do what you want the rest of the day. Well, Dad didn't know that there was a John Wayne double feature going on in town. Now, Arun knew this, and he was very excited. So he drove Dad to town. Dad was dropped off at the car repair place. Arun went around to all the places, got the orders made, said, send him over to the car place, dashes over to the movie theater, and gets a ticket for John Wayne's double feature. Of course, the double feature is over at 5:30. And Arun has lost his awareness of time. Oh my God, he comes running out of the theater, goes running towards the car repair place, and who's standing there? Who? His dad. His dad standing there, 5:30, looks at his clock. I'm so glad you're all right. What happened? Well, I checked in with the car place, and they said it wouldn't be done till 5:30. His dad looked at him and said, they called me at 5 and said the car was ready. Now, remember, there are no cell phones at this time. There's no blah, blah, blah. And his dad said, I can't believe you lied to me. Now, you get in the car and you drive home, and I will walk. This is a new type of rearing children to Americans. The parent takes responsibility of teaching their child that they're afraid and they have to lie to them. The parent sees it as their responsibility to pay penance. His father walked 18 miles, and Arun drove. Never lied to his dad again. There was no fear. There was no anger. There was no judgment. His father took responsibility. Interesting story? Yes. Interesting story. So each one of us has to go within and ask, where does this anger come from? Where does this judgment flash up in my life? This is a time in this series for self-reflection. This is a time to really look at my personality, my habits, the way I react and respond in life. and if I am ready to be the change. Now, sometimes we do that in increments. And sometimes, like Arun on that day, did it quickly. So we're going to go into meditation now. I'd like you have a little yellow affirmation card. We're going to read the affirmation card together, little yellow card. I am in the unfoldment of my soul, as I hold to the truth of my being, the spirit within me strengthens and empowers me. I see the world through the eyes of love. So if you have anything in your lap, set it aside, please. Envision the room we're entering in is very beautifully dimmed. Close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Just breathe in that peace. Breathe in that joy. Breathe in the love of the divine presence living in you. I am. I am. I am. I am one with all. I am willing to change. I am willing to release the negative energy that keeps me in a place of fear, anger, mistrust. I am willing to hold a picture of a new room to walk into. A new way of thinking, a new way of responding, releasing the judgments that we hold on to. Each little judgment that we let go of, each big fear, we are healthier and happier and free. There is a field. I'll meet you there. And this room is filled with new understanding. And so it is. And so it is. In the name and through the power of all great spiritual teachers. Amen. Amen. Great gratitude for the work we are doing as a community, work we are doing individually. It makes a difference. It is done. Amen.